Did anybody else come to the conclusion that the only reason we did integration in the United States was not to give marginalized people opportunities? It was to make sure that black people and other marginalized groups could never create their own independent community, self sufficient community, ever again. And if so, there was an automatic entitlement to infiltrating that group and then shutting it down or just getting so uncomfortable that you have to do something like drop bombs on the community. Integration fucked us, bro. And I'm not saying this to say we're not supposed to be integrated and have social engagement. I'm saying that we're supposed to be segregated to a point to where we can appreciate and understand what our cultures are enough to be able to share them with the greater world. When we're all integrated, I call that enmeshment. And when you have a bunch of people enmeshed around each other, it's a lot harder to find out what that individual group of people that's exploiting everybody is. But not only that, it's a lot harder to understand which Americans are being served and which Americans are just along for the ride. The black dollar circulated 10 times more frequently in the black community before we integrated. Black churches were not only places to indoctrinate psychosis into people and the only source of community, but black churches were actually used to educate people, to develop new concepts, to apply new beliefs and ideologies to our community, to see how we can support ourselves and each other. Again, I want you to really go back and ask yourself, who is being served in this country? And if you go watch any of my YouTube videos, at least the last couple ones, I'm trying to tell you what the white supremacy equation is. White supremacy equals white people's feelings and fragility over black people, real trauma and real life issues. So when they say, well, when we say, oh my goodness, an unarmed black person was just killed in the streets by a cop who's abusing power, they think that is the same level of racism as me calling a white person racist. Somehow, the death of somebody in my community and the death of your ego or the hurting of your feelings as a this person are equal. It's like a feather and a stone being the same weight. Please decolonize your mind. Please, 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 please decolonize your mind. We will never be able to appreciate cultures outside of our own if we don't know how to cultivate one within. White supremacy's whole goal is to convince us that we, as a functioning human body of Earth people, need them to give us something that we've already had access to. We've already had the opportunity to give ourselves. They need to force themselves in here like a parasite to feed off of and then to colonize and commodify and create value off of value that they need to exploit and steal, not value that they see within themselves. That's what scares me the most. If you want to start talking about aliens, ask the people who destroyed this entire world and are still somehow so unsatisfied, they now want to move Earth people into an imaginary virtual reality while moving themselves onto other planets to colonize, because this is not enough. A planet that produces infinite natural resources to accommodate the life of people on the planet. In the most basic spiritual sense, the earth has an awareness as to how many living beings are on it, and it produces enough resource for that. Our responsibility as human beings is to allocate and share those resources. And then the lessons we learn in our present moment, we hold those and share those to future generations. But let's again address why white supremacy jumped in the middle of that and cut off so many black and indigenous people from their history. Spiritual warfare. This white supremacy stuff is not just racism. This is the sickest form of multi-generational spiritual warfare I've ever seen inflicted on so many different groups of people. Like, it's absolutely alien. And I hope you guys get to a point where you can address that and see who you are on the other side of not being beneficiaries by however the proximity is of white supremacy. Because I promise you, it only serves 1% of 1% of 1% of people, and everybody else is just being sold a fucking illusion.